Hi, welcome to another great episode of People's Politics. I am Aisha Sapp and my beautiful co-host,
Gabriela Marquesino.
and we are here with a great show today. We have some great guests. Before we go into that, we're going to start with our local and our national and our international news. So let's start with our local headlines first. Big to do, our mayoral candidate, Ben Hall, made an announcement yesterday in front of City Hall that our mayor, Anise Parker, is committing fraud against our great state. That is a huge allegation. It has not been proven, so we want to make sure that here at People's Politics we use that word. But it'll be interesting. Our mayor has not yet responded to those allegations, but she is right now being accused of paying to play. Um,
On another note, I have to say, in the locals, tonight we're having a game. The Astros playing the Yankees. So for all those fanatics, watch it.
Nationally, let's stay with the local real quick. I want to just address, and we're going to just take back a little history. Walmart, in case y'all don't remember, earlier this year, a young man was murdered in the parking lot, supposedly in the bushes of the parking lot, for assaulting a police officer for shoplifting. This young man was shot in the back of the head. Today, actually yesterday, this police officer was charged with manslaughter. Little light on the charge, but it just goes to show this is for the Conroe Police Department. But this young teen who was 18 years old died a senseless death for something that was under the value of $25. So I hope that our prayers from People's Politics go out to the family. We'll be paying attention very closely to this trial as it starts to head on. And let's go right on into our national news.
Well, a cheerleader kicked out of cheerleading squad. They claim to have to be concerned because of her Down syndrome. It's very sad. Can you believe it?
Yeah, apparently they said that they felt that it was not safe for her to be able to cheer, which is, I don't agree with that decision. Also, which affects everyone, and so for all you viewers, Ted Cruz once again wasted our good tax-paying dollars as he spent 21 hours on the Senate floor doing a filibuster for Obamacare. Basically reading green eggs and ham. So in case y'all don't really know what all that entails, they want to cut $40 billion of our Social Security and the SNAP food benefits. If you don't know what all that really affects, that affects not only the low-income families, but the hard-working middle-income class families. That means that there will be no elderly pensions, there's no Social Security, and in case y'all don't know, that also means no Homeland Security. So a lot of things kind of get entailed in that, and we really hope that this does not be a continuing, ongoing effort, and that we can move on, because countries in the UK and Canada have had an Obamacare system for a very, very long time. Okay, let's go into international.
International. I bet we all remember the Costa Concordia shipwreck. So far they have found human remains. Apparently they're supposed to be the human remains of two missing passengers. They finally found them and they're still working on it. It's so sad. So still.
And our prayers are out to the family too, as well, from People's Politics. It's unfortunate that it took this long. So now we're going to go right on in to our guest. We're going to start with two very special guests. We have never had youth on our show. We have two great individuals, one by the name of Jimmy James and another named Vivian Dellender. They are part of the Youth Police Advisory Council, also known as YPAC. And we're going to take time to allow them to introduce themselves. Let's start with Jimmy. Would you like to tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Jimmy James, and this is my second year serving on the council board of the Youth Police Advisory Council.
And Miss Dellender?
Hi, my name is Vivian Duttlinger, and this is also my second year in YPAC, and I am enjoying it a lot.
Wonderful.
Well, on that note, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is YPAC, just to tell our audience and they get to know more about it.
YPAC is a program that allows teens to have like a voice in issues such as violence issues, teen dating violence, or relation issues and peer pressure, and legal issues such as alcohol and drug abuse. And it allows us, like, this program allows us to spread awareness to other teens and other adults, all around the city of Houston, so that they know, what teens are going through and all those matters.
And how does a young teen get involved in your program?
If anyone out there, wants to join YPAC, you can go on the web at www.houstontx.gov/police/VIP/YPAC.
And to introduce your message, do you visit the schools? Do you, like, if a child is having bullying, which is a constant issue in our high schools and our middle schools, are you visiting these schools and attending them and passing this message along or advising them?
We actually do go to some high schools, such as like Wheatley High School and things like that, and we'll talk about bullying or, peer pressure, and we'll explain to them, warning signs and things like that, and classes will come in and they'll learn like about what we're saying, and hopefully like we get a message out to them, but we do visit schools.
Okay, and we have a phone call. Caller, thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say? No, we lost that call.
Putting me on the air.
Oh, there.
Hi. What do the people have to say?
Yeah, I have a question for one of the candidates for mayor.
Okay,
Victoria
we
Lane.
actually haven't gotten to those candidates yet. You want to hold on that call and we'll finish when we get to that? We'll take that call.
Yeah, but right now I want to say I'm so disappointed with Parker and and Hall, and they're accusing each other of corruption, but they're both running the city at the time. So I don't know why they separated. Maybe there's some double crossing here.
Okay.
To ask what he's gonna do about this.
Okay, we will answer that call and that question in just a second. Thank you for calling. Okay, Jimmy, let's go right on back into if a student comes and they're having an issue, do y'all have a mentorship program that you offer?
Well, actually, every month we have a different topic that we discuss on, such as teen dating violence, bullying, suicide, human trafficking, date rape. And what we do is we have, there's 36 of us, and we all serve different parts of the Houston area. And what we're asked to do is go back into our own schools and also, spread the word and spread the message. And we're also asked to hold some kind of event once a month.
Okay.
What type of events?
Just like a presentation or something that can aware and inform the community.
So with the recent acts of violence like that's been going on now, most emphatic like with what's been going on out there in like Katy High School, and we've been having some recent reports of the gang activity being increased in some of our high schools. What is the message that you are taught to give to your fellow peers?
Well, we have we talk about there, gang violence and things like that. There are consequences. So we'll talk about, you may think, for example, someone going into a gang, they might think it's a good thing, but we talk about how it's, bad because you have all these consequences and they build up and they stay with you forever, because as a teen, what you learn when you're like a teen and a youth, it goes with you as you become an adult. So our message is to help spread what's the issue, so that they learn to fix their mistakes, so that when they become an adult they can change their life and things like that.
It's very good. Jimmy, would you like to add to that?
To also piggyback on what Vivian said, that we've also learned that those who join gangs are joining gangs for reasons that their family should be there for, such as that they feel that they don't get enough love from their family, or they feel that they're not protected enough, so that they feel that, hey, I'm in the gang now, so they're entitled to, like, take care of me and, like, be there for me.
Great. I would like you to just what's the best way to contact you? Like if any person, if you can just, any kids would like to contact the program or need some help, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
If anyone's interested and would like to contact our public relations officer or our sponsor and our coordinator of the council board, you can contact her via telephone at 713-308-3292. Again, that number is 713-308-3292.
And quickly, I would just like to ask, is there a hotline service that may be added or in the talks of them adding if a child finds themselves in peril and in a school situation? You've talked to your counselor and you've talked to your principal and you don't know what to do, or sometimes they're afraid to talk to someone and it's easier to talk to a peer. Is there a way that they can get a hold of you? Do y'all use social media to connect or anything?
We do. We're always encouraged, to post things on Facebook or Instagram about YPAC or the events we're talking about, the issues. And we usually spread that message out, and we'll go to our schools, give out flyers, ask our classmates to join in. And we've also been considering, making a hotline, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
But that's been a considerment for us.
Okay.
Sounds
I
great.
wanted to just tell you thank you, both of you, Jimmy and Vivian, for coming to the show and letting our viewers know about your program. I think it's wonderful. I think it's
Great.
very well needed.
Needed, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to now run into some more wonderful guests that we have. We have Mr. J. Brad Bateau. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. He is running for City Council Position 3, City Council at Large Position 3. And we have Miss Victoria Lane, who is running for our mayoral candidacy for the state of Texas.
Yes.
So, why don't we start with look into the camera, and I want you to tell our viewers, and let's start with Miss Lane, ladies first.
Okay.
Tell them who you are.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is ready?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Victoria Lane, and I'm running for mayor under the platform of good governance and moral leadership. I've been in Houston, Texas for 44 years together with my parents. I have been in business for 38 years, multiple business. I do tax consulting, financial education, real estate investment, sell watches and diamonds, and also my husband does repairs. And I help a lot of nonprofit organization. I also help fundraising, how to raise monies for the nonprofit organization, and also I do financial education for my clients. I got 1,200 clients. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. And Mr.
Mr.
Bateau?
Yes, my name is J. Brad Bateau.
Okay.
I'm running at large, position 3. I'm a real estate investor. I've been in business for 20 years now. And what I do is I work in my community. In other communities, I go out and I help the senior citizens. And I go out and I help people with affordable housing, because I have a lot of houses that I use to rent out. And I work with Section 8 housing. So, and I also work with families that can't afford rent like, other people. So what I do is I make it affordable for them. And also I go out and I speak to the youth at those after-school programs, like at the PABA and other recreational centers. And I teach them like how to stay out of trouble and stay in school, don't get into gangs, and you know, if be more education. In this time, you really need education. It's very important. Complete school and go to college and get your degree.
Absolutely. Okay. We have two more wonderful guests, so we will introduce them as well, and that is Mr. Don Cook, who is our Green Party candidate, right?
It's a nonpartisan race.
Nonpartisan race, okay. And then we have Mr. Eric Dick. Did I say that right? Okay. I would like for each one of you to look into our cameras and tell them about yourself. So let's start with Mr. Dick. Would you introduce yourself and tell our viewers about you?
Sure thing. My name's Eric Dick. I'm a third-generation Houstonian. I've lived here all my life, and actually, it's kind of nice being back at HMS. As I've had friends that have had shows, and I participated in shows actually on here about 15 years ago. What I do for a living, I'm an insurance lawyer. Basically, what that means is I sue insurance companies on behalf of homeowners wherever a claim is denied or underpaid. And primarily I'm running for mayor because I think there's some problems with the city's budget. We have a structural deficit. What that means is that we spend more money than what we bring in. And that's been going on for 10 years, and it's the amount that we've been overspending is pretty substantial. You're looking at about $2.4 billion. You can find out more about me on my website at ericdickformayor.com. And I think it was really awesome that we had those folks from, what was it, YPAC here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really great that they are involved at such a young age in their community. And also it's great that you are doing this show on HMS.
Thank you.
y'all for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for
very
being
much.
here.
And Mr. Cook?
Mr. Cook.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm Don Cook. I'm running for mayor. I have some familiarity with the studio also. Are my sound levels good? Can you hear me? I'll assume that's a yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Green Watch, another show that you have here at HMS, is run by the Green Party. And I used to help with that, but we got a discussion group we do on Monday nights, so I've sort of been busy with that the last few months. But I'm 65 years old. I'm a retired parole officer. I've been married 42 years, and I won't do the joke about 24 of them happy now. And I have 2 grown daughters and 2 grandchildren. But about 18 years ago, I bottomed out emotionally, and I realized that if I was going to go on as a person, I was going to have to find some meaning in life. And for me, meaning meant trying to build a better world, with emphasis on the word trying, because there are a lot of things that need to be done. So one thing's led to another, and now here I am representing the Green Party as I'm running for mayor. I hope we can talk about some issues. I was very, not intrigued, that isn't the right word, but I was very interested in your story about the police officer and the young man he killed. For 2 years and 8 months now, I've been working with the Black Justice Tuesday Coalition here, and we are trying to get a Citizens Review Board for the Houston Police Department that has subpoena powers and prosecutorial powers, however we can get those.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so I guess let's start with the first subject at hand, and this is where y'all can all interject as what your opinions are. I think I've read all of your agendas. I had a hard time finding your agenda, Miss Elaine. So
It was victorialane4mayor.com.
very nice. And Mr. Bateau, how do they find you?
They find me at jbradbateau.com.
Okay. And Mr. Cook?
DonCookForMayor.webs.com,
Okay.
or check out my Facebook page, Don Cook for Mayor of Houston. Don Cook for Mayor just gets you this guy in San Diego from 7 years ago or something.
Yes, it does.
And I'm trying to get into tweeting now as Don Greenman Cook.
Very nice. Okay.
Oh, let me get my phone number. We take calls too. 713-705-5594.
Very nice. Okay, so why don't we go into um,
The-
Mr. Yes,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Dick. I think you have become quite popular with your commercials. I got a call from Grandma about your commercial. um, do you think I saw a poster board that says Anise Parker needs dick?
Is afraid of the.
Is afraid of dick. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find your commercials offensive? Or do I know you've had to answer that probably, or you're getting any type of blog, but do you?
Well, it's interesting. Whenever you grow up with the last name Dick, um, life is kind of a little different. I think it's been good for me. I say that because you do get teased a bit, and pretty much anything you do or say with your last name, it's kind of offensive, or people take kind of problem with it. I think it's made me a better person. I say that because anyone could say anything about me, and they can make fun of me about my last name. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
I try to be a bigger person. I try to have broad shoulders. I think that's one thing we're missing at City Hall. The current administration, the person currently in charge, doesn't take things in stride. She gets upset. Um, so your question was, do I find are my commercials offensive? I don't think so. I think they're funny, and they're kind of crass, but I don't mean them in a negative way. I just got a sense of humor, and I've got a silly last name, and I try to make people smile. If that's all I could do is make someone smile, it makes my day happier.
Absolutely. Okay. Um, into our city issues. How do you plan, and this is for all of you, to help with all of you had an agenda about our safety
Yes.
and our police force for our neighborhood without cutting into the taxpayers' spending? Miss Lane?
Okay, for the police to have, we should have a training for the police, because sometimes additional training, because they are not sensitive to the different nationality that we are Asian, there's Chinese, Filipino, American, blacks, and I think that they need to be more sensitive because, like you just said earlier, they just killed that boy without knowing that he stole under $25 worth of food. And if they had understood that he was hungry, when people is hungry, they're gonna steal, a little. But that doesn't mean you have to kill that person. And I think the police officer, they need additional training to have some psychology in them to be more understanding to the youth. And I think they are lacking in that area.
Miss Lane, your bio was really interesting because you're also a very deeply religious woman.
Yes.
Do you think that there is room for religion in politics?
Yes, I believe in that because let's just say if there's no God, God created us, and if God didn't exist, we wouldn't be here, okay? So a lot of people lived out God, and that's what's wrong with this country. The whole world is in chaos and financial difficulties because they're not putting God first. They're putting their greed, their selfishness, and their ego and their power. They think that they can just control. One billionaire said, I can just crush the poor.
Right.
And I don't like that because I think that God created us equal and we should rediscover God in this city. And, it's a sin to steal, it's a sin to kill, but it's also a sin to be gay.
Okay. Mr. Bateau, and this question is actually going to go around the table. What is your overall political philosophy summed up in a few words as possible?
Wait, say that again, please.
What is your overall political philosophy that you go by? What has motivated you?
Well, what's motivated me is I've been working very hard as a candidate, and in city council, I'm going to work even harder. And what motivates me is when I go out and talk to people, they listen. When I go out and teach people, they learn. So that motivates me to know that I have a lot of people that's listening to me, and that's very important to know what I'm talking about and explaining to people the things that they need to know and they need to do, and to abide by those rules that I give them, to let them know that, you know, what I tell them is what I've been through or other people has been through that I talk to, and that highly motivates me.
Mr. Dick?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I think a lot of people don't realize is that the city has a looming deficit. It has a looming liability. We saw the first expiration of a major city with Detroit. And keep in mind, we do have a structural deficit. What that means is each year we spend more money than we bring in, which adds to our underlying liability of $13.1 billion. The way it's set up now, we will go bankrupt inevitably. We will incur so much debt that the city's not going to be able to take care of it. My whole philosophy is we need to do the core aspects that the city does and do a good job at that. Our public safety, our infrastructure, our basic city services. And if you drive around the city, the streets aren't even being taken care of. I just want the city to do what it's supposed to do and be financially responsible doing it. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less.
Mr. Cook,
Yeah.
what is your political philosophy?
Oh, it's a very simple one. That a government of, by, and for the people should be a government which helps the people. The only purpose of government, as I see it, is to help people. I liked your safety question too, and the spending. If I may comment
Yes,
about
absolutely.
that. As I mentioned already, I've been working with the Black Justice Tuesday Coalition, and I'm continuing to work now with the Just Us movement. And we feel that there should be subpoena powers to give authority and bite to the Civilian Review Board for HPD. I'm very concerned about safety from the standpoint of, well, I became more concerned today because I got into a report about, they don't call it falsification, but apparently there's a systematic thing that's been happening and perhaps getting worse over the last 24 years in police departments of downgrading crimes.
Okay.
So one of the first things I would want to do, I think, is assess how much crime is there really.
Okay.
And also, not without, no, I'll let that go. But spending is a secondary concern. Mr. Dick was talking about the
Mr.
debt.
Cook, you have a phone call. Hold on. We're going to finish
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say?
Hello? Hello?
Thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say? Okay, I guess we lost that caller.
Mr. Cook.
Mr. Cook.
Okay. Well, let's see. I was making the point about spending, that I'm not that concerned about spending. We are as I say, the first purpose of government is to help people. The economy in this city is not as good as it should be. We should be taking anti-austerity steps. We should be spending money. One thing, for example, that the city does is it gives money to rich people, corporate welfare. And they do this mainly in the form of tax abatements. And I would prefer to see tax abatements rather than going to large corporations like Chevron's getting $19 million to put a skyscraper downtown. Ainbender is going to get back the $6 million. Every penny that they spent to build a home for Walmart over on White Oak Bayou is coming back to them. And Costco, most recently, just outside the city limits, is getting $1 million to put a store in this particular municipal utility district. I would rather see those tax abatements going to small businesses and markets and co-ops, particularly in the areas that are underdeveloped around the city, the areas where they're talking about food deserts and things like that. We need to have more small stores, more small businesses, more groups of people working together in co-ops to solve those problems.
And do you think that that would help with our unemployment? And I guess that's for all of you, which is a growing crisis for such a large metropolitan city.
Well, it actually has been going down, sort of, for 5 years, like it's sort of been going down across the country for the last 5 years. But that's only a sort of. It's at 6% now, or around 6%. It's a little over 7% nationally. And I consider that to be too high. I think a government that was taking care of its people could actually, really, literally, bring unemployment down to 0%.
Okay.
And that's what I was referring to, austerity measures. This is what we can do. It's like you mentioned food stamps in your introduction earlier. SNAP, every SNAP dollar is the equivalent to putting $1.70 in circulation in the country, because the money is circulated among people. It goes to the local grocery store, who pays local workers, who in turn buy other goods and services. So the money has an effect beyond just the dollar that's spent, unlike the bailouts and the quantitative easing that the federal government has been
Hold
doing.
on, we have another call. One moment. Thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say?
Hello, can we ask now?
Yes, ma'am. What do the people have to say?
Yeah, I want to ask now. Can I ask now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
you may.
Okay, I want to ask, what is their plan to increase the revenue of the city so we can reduce Houston debt and build more infrastructures for the city?
I can answer that. Okay. I think that we need to increase our Houston debt by, it's $4.2 billion in debt. So we need to bring tourism and build more hotels to accommodate large convention, and also to have the Super Bowl here and the game that's coming all over the world, the national game all over the world, the Olympics. I think that we need to have that because we never had that in Houston. So that would create jobs and employment and opportunity to our city. But since we are the Seventh-day Adventists, we have about 200,000 people all over the world, because I'm Seventh-day Adventist. And we do have large convention every 4 years, and we have one coming next year. And they're going to San Antonio because they have accommodation for 100,000 people, the hotels. So we need to bring something like that in Houston to reduce our deficit.
Mr. Bateau, what would you say to that?
Well, like she was saying, I agree with her, but we need more businesses in the city to increase jobs. I mean, I know the Super Bowl, if we have that come, that's like one time, but we do need more hotels. We need more businesses that I feel that we can use in our budget to open
And how
up.
would you go about that? Do you think like the Astrodome, for example, would be a
Yes.
great place to?
I would start with the Astrodome. I think the Astrodome would be a great place to open up a business, because right now we're not making any money with it. We're losing money with it. And I think that, we should get together in the city hall and put our ideas together and go ahead and get that place up and going, because right now it's not doing anything but going to waste. And I feel that if we're not going to do anything with it, maybe we should go ahead and tear it down, that we don't have that cost anymore on us.
Mr. Dick, actually, I have a question for you. There has been a lot of controversy about the role of incentives in development. Considering the turmoil of the economy, what role should taxpayer money play to support private sector development that is in line with our larger goals, assuming these development cannot be achieved otherwise? What mechanism would you consider to achieve these goals? And do you consider worthy of taxpayer dollars?
Okay, and that's a complicated question, and it'll take me a while to explain it. I'll try to I'll try to simplify it. What you're referring to, I believe, is tiers or tax abatements. You got to be careful with those. because basically then you have the government choosing winners and losers. For example, there's a couple of there's the Walmart one, which is in the rice military. And I find it interesting that we spent, I think it was about $6 million of tax money to build in an area that's already booming. So whenever you're looking at doing these tiers, right, you want to be careful so you aren't creating an unfair advantage for other businesses. Think of it like this. If you're giving $6 million to like a Walmart, what happens to all the mom and the other businesses? You're giving a big advantage to one company over the other. And I don't think that's the role of government to do. And besides that, then you're also increasing your debt. And when you're talking about jobs and encouraging people to live here, it's hard to get more people to live here. The city's growing at about 3%, and our suburbs are booming. The reason our suburbs are booming is because it's less expensive to live there, because you kind of get a better deal there than you do in the city. So we just need to be careful with where we spend money and try to spend it at the core aspects of government. Do the things that government's supposed to do and do a good job at it. To answer your question a little more directly, the places where we would want to spend tiers is, I think one idea is, we don't have an amusement park here in Houston, and it's sad that we don't. I think something like that would be a good idea to use, deferred interest rates or, lower interest rates to, encourage someone to build that. Because I think that would help bring in more people, or at least attract more people. Thank you for that question.
Mr. Cook?
Well, gee, I feel like I was already talking about those issues. I was in the middle of bailouts and quantitative easing. And while those are the most effective things, unfortunately, that the government has been doing to fight the slump we went into 5 years ago, what that really amounts to is trickle-down economics, a la Ronald Reagan. Because what they would do is they would buy all these securities and treasury bills and bonds from the banks, like say $400 or $500 billion worth, and the bank would then poof, your security is instantly matured. Here's the money for it. They would immediately buy more securities with it, rather than use that money to give out loans and build businesses, which theoretically I think is what the service banks are supposed to provide to communities. They would dam up the trickle.
I have a question for you, Mr. Cook. Do
Sure.
you think that legalizing marijuana in the state of Texas would bring in revenue?
It could very potentially bring in revenue, but some years ago, I believe, we wrote a state law to put taxes on it, and I understand somebody actually went ahead and paid at that time without actually producing any proof that he had any marijuana or anything that he was doing anything with. It was kind of a funny news item. This was a couple of decades ago. So it would certainly increase the revenue. I cannot directly attack that as the mayor of Houston, but there are many things you cannot directly attack as from the mayor or the city's position. But you can always, the mayor can stand on the bully soapbox, as I like to call it, to say what needs to be done. The city council can pass resolutions about what needs to be done, and we can use the lobbying influences of the city to say what needs to be done. And then there may be other things we can do to other tangential. For example, on this particular question, I was proud to see the Chronicle in their editorial last Sunday pick up my pledge, one of my pledges, without crediting me, of course, when they recommended that for the sake of people who are suffering in jail, and people really do suffer when they go to jail, and also for the sake of some savings, for what that's worth, that we should implement. Well, state law, I should say, allows for Class B misdemeanors, possession of small amounts of drugs, to be dealt with by ticketing, by giving them a citation. You would not have to incarcerate them. And they recommended that, which is something I've been recommending for some time.
Wonderful.
I would like Ms. Lane.
Legalizing marijuana. I think it's a good idea for medicinal purposes because my daughter works at MD Anderson, and there's a lot of cancer patients. When you subscribe marijuana, it calms them down. And one of the patient of my daughter, she the medicine would just not work, and she was just like yelling and doing acting crazy. So one of the nurse whispered to her that if you give her some marijuana medicine, I think she would calm down. So the husband went to the street and bought some marijuana, and he was so scared to go buy it because, it's illegal. But he did it because he loved his wife. And so he bought it and he gave it to his wife, and she calmed down. Because anyway, she was gonna die in a couple of years. So he gave what
And
she
that wasn't
wanted.
in the hospital, though. He brought it home.
He brought
Okay.
it- the husband?
I want to make sure we establish that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, they brought it at home.
Okay.
At home,
Wonderful.
okay.
At
yeah.
home, not in the hospital.
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr.
Bateau.
Bateau,
Yeah.
would like to hear your stand on that too.
I would legalize it as far as the doctor's prescription. I mean, because right now we have a lot of youth that uses marijuana, and they're bringing it to school. A lot of teenagers are driving around. I can smell it on the freeway at the red lights. And I mean, I don't use drugs, so
Right.
I really don't want to get anyone else's buzz
Right.
when I have my own natural high. So I feel that we should only legalize it with a doctor's prescription. I do agree with that.
So you're saying 18 or older, or are you saying just period if you need it medically?
If you need it medically, I am for that.
Okay.
Mr. Dick.
Yes, I think it's important to note that it's not really anything that the city in itself could do, except maybe in its enforcement of having it be maybe a Class C misdemeanor or some type of decriminalization. But it's really ultimately a state issue. The whole thing with medical marijuana and legalizing marijuana, I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you look at how much money we've spent enforcing these drugs and how successful we've been, it's kind of sad. I think we have lost, to some extent, the war on drugs. And I'm kind of disenfranchised with that. I don't like throwing good money after bad, and that's kind of seems like what we're doing with that. And as I am an attorney, I started out doing door law, and it's kind of I say door law because it's whatever walked in the door. And in doing door law, I actually represented a few people with marijuana charges. And it's kind of sad whenever someone had one joint and is getting a year probation, and they have this Class B misdemeanor on the record. So I mean, I think overall, I think decriminalization would be probably the right place to start with, marijuana. And then also there's a part sub issue there, and I don't know if y'all realize this, but the district attorney, and we do have a new district attorney. I think you can. There are certain cases they don't take. One of them is whenever there's trace amounts of cocaine, and that's something else. Whenever there's trace amounts of cocaine, because what a lot of people don't realize is that is a felony, and that can ruin your life, right? And I think that's something that the county should probably look at as well. But the city can't really do a whole lot about that.
Thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say?
Yes, I got this question for Victoria Lane.
Okay.
It was a little bit late because, but it's about the corruption in the city.
Sir, can we ask you to turn your TV down?
We have a little bit of feedback.
Okay. This is the question. Does Ms. Lane have any program to prevent stealing of public funds and other abuses in the city?
Yes, we have a system in place in government to investigate these and to prosecute those who found guilty. We have the FBI and the Office of Inspector General. What we need to do is to assist this agency, the commitment of every Houstonian in the public and private sectors to report illegal activities. If elected as mayor, I will set up a communication system to receive reports or illegal activities by text messaging by concerned citizens. We will call this TAG or Tixagraph. I will read these messages every morning and take whatever action is appropriate.
Very nice. Thank you, caller. Okay. Does anyone else want to feedback into that question about our city corruption?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting in the paper where you're seeing, two people pointing fingers at each other about using the political process to one bring in campaign contributions, and the other hand to get a job, to leverage a job. I think it's sad. It really is, and it's kind of the sad state of affairs that we're at. In essence, and I believe both allegations to be true. The one, that Anise Parker is making to Ben Hall, and the one Ben Hall making to Anise Parker. Because if you do, for example, we were talking about tiers. A lot of the people that receive benefits from the tiers, if you go through her financial statements, you'll see that they've made large donations to her campaign. The same way with contractors, and there's groups set up for that. I think probably the best thing to do there is whenever you have a conflict of interest or that you stand to gain something from the city, you should not be allowed to make contributions.
Mr.
Period.
Dick, you have a phone call
Oh.
for you specifically.
Specifically for you.
Uh-oh.
Thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say?
My question is for Eric Dick. My question is, if elected, how quick will you overturn the feeding ordinance?
The what?
Can you repeat that, caller?
If elected, how quick will you overturn the feeding ordinance that the city of Houston has imposed?
It's an ordinance.
Yeah, what you're referring to, and that'd be day one. But
Thank you, caller.
What he's referring to is last year, Anise Parker made it a crime to give food to the poor. And then kind of on the tail end of that, which is really, it's kind of sad, there was a homeless vet, and he was digging out of the dumpster, and they tried to put him in jail. It wasn't until it made worldwide news that the mayor decided that it would be a good idea to change that law. I think it's just wrong that all the things that my grandparents taught me that we aren't supposed to do. For example, what they taught me is you don't give homeless people money, you give them food. And the whole idea that what we go and learn at church, like with the acts of Jesus, that sharing food, that we can't do that it's become a crime to do that. There's certain things we need government for. We don't need it to tell us who we cannot give food to.
So you're saying the government shouldn't have to come in for what is morally conscious?
Please, at the bare minimum.
Yes,
At
that'd be
the
a good
bare
way
minimum.
to say that.
I think it's a violation of our religious freedoms.
Yes.
It's sad, and it's mean-spirited, and it's wrong. And then what's even funnier and even more questionable is that there was a petition put together, and I helped work on that petition, and she refused to allow it to go to vote because she knew she was going to lose overwhelmingly. Then she she amended the city charter so it would require 3 years before people could vote on that. So it stinks, and she's not a nice person.
I actually would like to ask a question. This is for everybody. So I'm going to start here since you're right now speaking, Mr. Dick. Do you draw a distinction between the homeless due to tragic circumstances and the homeless by choice?
I think at the minimum, we should be allowed to give some type of charity to someone we'd want to. The homeless, do I draw a distinction between the homeless by choice and the homeless through some type of financial circumstance? Of course. And the private sector has different avenues for people to go through. We've got the Star of Hope, and we have different people, and we have a lot of private sector individuals that want to give. Food not bombs, and it's troubling whenever the city gets in the way of these organizations that want to help and decides which organizations we want to help and which organizations we don't want to help, and then creates, you have to get certain permits because of this or that, and then it costs more money to do these basic charities that individuals are, that the private sector is trying to do. So my response to that is, we need government to get out of the way and allow these, individuals or these charities to help whatever homeless, whether it is, by choice, and if someone wants to be homeless, they have the right to be homeless.
Mr. Bateau?
Yes, I agree with Mr. Dick on his answer, but myself, I feel that if we have charities that's willing to give to the homeless, I think that we should have more homeless facilities besides the Star of Hope and those other facilities, because right now I go by there quite often and they're very crowded. And I'm one of those persons that I go out every year. I've been doing it for over 15 years, feeding the homeless.
And where is that money being funded from? When
What-
you
You
do
say-
you do that through? Do you have an organization that
No.
you use? Okay.
No, I take the money from my business account.
Okay.
And I don't know if you all remember, but every year the news usually come out during Christmas Eve, and they interview me, and I feed the homeless, give them money and lottery tickets. And I also do it all during the year, but mostly as the news comes out around Christmas Eve, and they do that. And I've been doing it every year, and I had to go up to City Hall and fight about the permit because I wasn't happy about that. And what the mayor told me is that she said it's trashing up the city. And I feel that if the homeless people go in the dumpsters and throw the trash out, they're not going to put the trash back in there. They're looking for food. So they're not really concerned about, okay, I'm going to make sure the city is clean. But right now I'm still fighting with this permit because this is something that I do, and I've always done it, and I'm going to continue to do it no matter what.
It's very good. You sound very passionate about that. Mr. Cook?
Oh, well, I know very few homeless people who don't have mental health problems. I only know one person. Well, I know a number of homeless people. I only know one person who claims he likes to live on the street, and I suspect there's more to it than that in that particular case. Certainly, I don't know a distinction. Well, the people who are or need medication or not taking medication or upsetting people wherever they go and cannot maintain a domicile for that reason need other care, and that should be provided. My bachelor and master's degrees in psychology, and I remember 33 years ago when they closed down the institutions and put a lot of people out supposedly in the community, and so many of those turned out to be on the street. So we certainly need to take care of those people. And and I've been talking about the economic problems when I was talking about a stimulus investment rather than debt reduction concerns should be our primary focus. But there's another aspect to this too. The mayor, as Mr. Dick has pointed out, doesn't seem comfortable with democracy to me. A number of groups have been critical of her because she doesn't float ideas out to the public before she puts them out there. She tends to have everything all in place and locked up, and here we go, we're going to do this, and she'll, in fact, in some instances, it'll be put on the agenda the day before that comes up for a vote. And that's certainly not right. In the case, she's rushed obviously with the red light cameras after the court after the people voted. She still tried to go to the courts and find some way to keep them. And this whole thing about the ordinance about feeding the homeless. I heard two theories on that at the time. One was that they wanted to just move homeless people away from the downtown area, and the other was that the Occupy movement, which was there in Tranquility Park to a large extent, that it was and had just been moved off. It was designed to keep them from coming back. Uh, I'm beginning to lean toward the second theory because I know for a fact that Food Not Bombs, an organization which feeds the homeless, was given like a special dispensation from the mayor. They're allowed to do their thing, and the police don't ticket them or hassle them in any way.
Mrs. Lane?
Okay, I think that the homeless sometimes they do look bad in our city if they're running around the city of Houston, and we're gonna build our Houston tourism to make it look good. So if the homeless are all over, it doesn't look good to our city. So I think that we either need to build a facility for them so they can have a place to live and teach them how to work. See, the problem in this country is they keep giving. So
Where would that money come from?
to teach them how to work. So where do the money come from for the facility? We can do fundraising and ask some of these billionaires that has plenty of money. There's 400 billionaires all over United States, and Bill Gates is one of them. Okay, so we could go ask him to help some of our programs to provide for some of these poor people, because some of the David Coates, Charles Coates, Steve Sherman, these people donate and some sell. These are billionaires that has a lot of money that they can donate like a $10 million building to facilities this way and create a job. So here it is. The job should be to make it easier, because some of these people are lazy. They don't want to work. They just want to beg. One of the beggars that I approach, she makes $300 to $400 a day begging on the street. She'd rather do that than work. But if we encourage them to find a job that's decent, let's see, India makes a lot of servicing all over the world. India knows the whole United States. They even have their service where if you get lost, they'll walk you through and find you. But we don't have servicing like that. So some of these people, we can educate them how to service some of this service industry. It's a billion-dollar industry. Thank you.
Thank you for calling People's Politics. What do the people have to say?
As a Tea Party leader, I'm concerned about the growth of government. And I wanted to ask each candidate, what is your best shot at making city government most efficient and responsive to its public? Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, did we lose some? Caller, are you still there? Okay. Did y'all catch that question?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Dick, you want to respond?
What he's referring to is there's a lot of stuff that's going on with the city about how it's spending more money than it's bringing in and stuff like that. I think what you'd want to have is at least some type of supermajority or something along those lines if you're going to have to increase taxes. You want to be responsible with the way that the city's spending money. Be good stewards instead of kind of the path that the city's on, because we cannot leave our city buried in debt. We cannot leave our children, a city in a worse position than we are. I just recently had a child, and it's parenthood is underrated. It really is. But the thought of of bankrupting or leaving the city in a path, leading the city down a path for bankruptcy is horrible. I'm Eric Dick.
Mr. Bateau?
Yes, thank you. Well, I feel that we need to watch our budget more. And like Mr. Dick said, we're spending too much money. We're wasting too much money. And I feel that if, the city, we all get together and we look at the budget that we're spending. And I feel that, right now, we're not watching our budget at all. That's why we're having all kind of problems.
Mr. Bateau, quickly tell our callers again who you are, and then we're going to go to Mr. Cook because we're running to the end.
Okay, my name is J. Brad Bateau. I'm running for City Council at Large, position 3.
Mr. Cook.
Well, thank you. I'm Don Cook. I'm running for mayor. And well, I'm not a Tea Party guy. I think that in times of economic woe, what you need to do is you need to prime the pump. That you need to have stimulus investment out there. That is what the city should be doing. I would hire back the 776 people laid off by the mayor because of the economy 2 years ago. I pledge, and I feel, by the way, that because of circumstances outside the city, a recession is inevitable. But I would, when and if it hits, I will not cut services. I will not lay off people. I will not touch the pensions of people while there's an economic problem. I would establish a people's bank, actually, for low loans, low rate loans, micro lending, and to circulate a local currency. All things that would get the economy up.
Thank you.
My name is Victoria Lane, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Houston. And my goal is to bring tourism and large convention to our city to reduce debt, and also we need to also decrease spending and save some money because the problem is spending too much money.
Thank you. You have been watching a great episode of People's Politics. Are we wrapping? I'm sorry, Mr. Dick. Sorry.
Oh,
please.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm Eric Dick. You can find out about me at ericdickformayor.com. And I'm obviously running for mayor.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You have been watching another great episode of People's Politics. I am Aisha Sapp, and our producer, Sir Nemesis the Truth, and my beautiful co-host,
Gabriela Marquesino. And for all out there, our Hispanic audience, gracias por sintonizar People's Politics. Buenas noches.
Thank you.
Buenos. So welcome. Wait 1 second.
That was fun.
Okay.
You would, yeah.
That's your camera.
And he will, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was mine.
Camera 1.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, you are.
Oh, camera 1. Okay.
People's Politics, award-winning people's politics.
It's like a tongue twister.
I'm Eric Dick, and thank you for watching the award-winning People's Politics.
One more, but
Just a little.
I'm Eric Dick. I'm running for mayor, and thank you for watching the award-winning People's Politics.
Me? Okay. Hi, I'm Don Cook. I'm running for mayor, and thank you for watching the award-winning People's Politics. Hi, I'm Don Cook. I'm running for mayor of the city of Houston. Thank you for thank you for watching the award-winning People's Politics.
One more time.
I'm Don Cook. I'm running for mayor of the city of Houston. Thank you for watching the award-winning show People's politics.
Gotcha.
I'm Victoria Lane, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Houston. And thank you for watching the awards Winning People's Politics.
One more.
I'm Victoria Lane. I'm running for mayor for the city of Houston. Thank you for watching the Winning Awards People's Politics.
Okay, this time just say thanks for watching People's Politics.
Okay.
Just say thanks for watching People's Politics.
Okay. My name is Victoria Lane. I'm running for mayor for the city of Houston. Thank you for watching People's Politics.
My name is J. Brad Batto. I'm running at large, position 3, and I want to thank everyone for watching the award-winning People's Politics. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Do it again. One more time.
My name is J. Brad Batto. I'm running at large, position 3, and I would like to thank everyone for watching the award-winning People's Politics. Thank you.
One more again.
My name is J. Brad Bateau. I'm running at large, position 3, and I would like to thank everyone for watching the award-winning People's Politics. Thank you.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Yes. Okay. Award-winning.
Do it in any
Okay.
language.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do it in your.
Oh, okay. To my language?
Yeah. Do it in your.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Ang akong pangalan si Victoria Lane. Ako kandidato sa mayor sa Houston. Nagsalamat ko sa People's Politics for inviting me. Thank you.
Wonderful.
That was
You guys
cute.
are clear.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
That's Cebuano.
Right?
Oh. Well,
I was so nervous.